right, we are back live. This is your Bolo Punch Boxing Hour. Nestor Garza-Romero joins us at the control deck. And, of course, we've got Paulie, the Magic Man MALIGNAGGI, on the phone. Paulie, you still there, man?
Yes, I am, guys.
Beautiful. We've got, so many questions here from our internet audience. Nestor's got a question for you right up front, though.
I have a great deal of respect for you. I watched the fight several times. I still can't figure out where 118, 110 came from, but that's neither here nor there. My question to you, you got a microphone in your face in a very heated moment right after the fight. Is there anything that you would I don't want to say take back, but maybe rephrase now that you've had time to calm down and think about it?
Most of the stuff I said, I stand by. One thing I would rephrase was that I don't hate boxing, but I've lost a lot of love for it, and not because of this boxing and its purest is something I really love, and I think it'll always be in my heart. But I think what it's become and some of the things that I've been forced to go through, and even some of the things that I haven't gone through, but I've seen other fighters go through, and I've seen with my own eyes and heard with my own ears, as far as things that go on behind the scenes in boxing, as well as things that go on in front of the scenes that you guys can see as well. I know more than the average fan because I also see the things behind the scenes. And because of that, it's jaded me, and it's made me lose a lot of love for the business, and it's made me lose a lot of love for boxing in general. But, at its purest, I love boxing. I want to see I hate it. But I would rephrase the fact that because of what I've been put through and what I've seen people be put through, this is a very dirty, dirty business, and you have to have a very thick skin. And there's things that it's very hard to explain. You can write an encyclopedia about it. But, that's probably something I would rephrase, because I don't hate it, but I've been very disgusted with it.
Yeah, I mean, listening to you when Max Kellerman stuck the microphone in your face, my first reaction was, oh, no. Because I know how heated it was and how heated you were just from the expressions on your face and stuff. And when you started talking, I'm like, oh. I know there's some things that he would probably go, you know what, maybe I should say it this way. So I figured I'd ask you. I'd figure I'd ask you and let you get it out over, and let people hear exactly what you really thought, as opposed to.
Yeah, exactly. And I stand by most of the stuff, but that's probably one thing I would rephrase. And you said it very well. I wouldn't change it, but I would rephrase it.
Yeah, no. I mean, I understand you standing behind what you said. I believe me. At that moment, I felt the same thing, and I wasn't even in the ring. I hadn't fought 12 rounds with Juan Diaz, and I felt the same thing you did. But
it's difficult because we work so hard as fighters. I know I'm in camp working my ass off.
I believe me, I understand.
And then you have a judge who shows up on fight night, basically treats it like a vacation, hangs out at the fights, gets the best seat in the house all night to a big card, writes down whatever he wants to on a scorecard, changes a fighter's life for good with his scorecard, and then goes home and his life doesn't change but he's just changed somebody's life by being dirty. You know what I mean? To me, it's hard to accept. You know what I mean? To me, it's hard to accept. And there are laws that prevent me from really lashing out the way I want to. But I would want to throw Dale Van Hoy all over the Toyota Center if I could have. I would have smashed him all over the place. If I could have, I would have smashed him all over the place. You know what I mean? But there are laws that prevent me from doing that.
Yeah,
but
just put that on YouTube when you do it.
I just think it's unfair that he gets to go home and his life is totally fine, but my life has to suffer the consequences. I just think it's totally unfair, and I don't believe it's right. It's just not right. So the only thing I could do was I did.
I'm with you, Paulie. I think it's interesting that HBO, meaning Max Kellerman, handed the mic to you first. Didn't even go for the quote unquote victor of the fight first. They didn't go to talk to Juan Diaz first. They wanted to talk to you first.
Well, they knew where the ratings were at.
They talked to Juan, but you had to give me my say because
I think
everybody knew who really won that fight.
I think so. I think
everybody on HBO has kept talking about how you actually won the fight.
Yeah.
And the scoring where it came from, they couldn't understand either. But
well, let's talk a little bit about the fight itself. Now, there's a couple things that you had trouble with. Your shorts you had some trouble with. I mean, it's great that you put the tribute on your shorts for the two fighters, Gotti and Forrest. But you had some trouble with your shorts falling down and also with the elbows. They were giving you a lot of warnings for that. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it's funny. I seem to be having a lot of equipment malfunctions lately, in my hair and the shorts and stuff like that.
I wasn't going to bring up the hair, man.
The shorts were, I think, a size too big around my waist because they were falling on the way to the ring. And I was like, oh, man, these are going to be a problem. Then once they got wet, they started falling. And so that became a little bit of an issue. But as far as the elbows, I wasn't elbowing Juan Diaz anywhere on his face, you know, and I didn't cut him with any kind of fouls. I cut him with uppercuts. I cut him with a right uppercut the first time, and the second cut was from a left uppercut. And, you know, they didn't, obviously, Lawrence Cole was trying to give Diaz every opportunity he could to sneak away with one. So obviously he couldn't call the punch from a punch because there was a threat that Diaz could lose on a TKO. So obviously he called them all on fouls. That way Diaz didn't escape with a technical decision at worst. But also with the elbows, you know, I was just pushing off on his chest. They didn't want to go anywhere near his face. I was pushing off on his chest because Diaz was trying to bully me around. And anytime I pushed Diaz, I would get warned. But Diaz, what nobody notices is Diaz is also trying to push me. He's just not strong enough to push me back. You know, so I'm the one pushing him back. You know, so I would use my elbow to push him off because he was trying to push me and then to create some space. Diaz, if he would have been pushing me back, he just wasn't strong enough to do it. You know, and you know, but I was getting the warnings. At the end of the day, this is professional boxing is not amateur boxing. This is a physical sport, and on the inside, you're allowed to push off. And I've had fights like the Miguel Cotto fight with Steve Smoger, which is basically should have bought a ticket that night because he wasn't doing anything. We were basically just mangling each other on the inside, me and Miguel. So you know, this guy was basically trying to protect Juan on the inside as much as he can. So he's letting Juan do whatever he wants. Juan threw about 100 low blows, and he's trying to push me. He just couldn't do it. And if he couldn't, I don't think Lawrence Cole would have warned him either. And you know, I think it was a bit one-sided, I gotta say.
Does Juan Diaz hit hard?
No, he's actually one of the softer punches I've ever fought. But if you stand in front of him, the guy won't stop throwing punches, you know? So, you know, they talk about, Diaz or Hatton, you know, who's better when they ask me. I think if Diaz and Hatton were to fight, I think Diaz would beat him just because Hatton doesn't have the legs I have, you know? Plus, I was a different fighter when I fought Hatton. I told people 100 times that I needed to change trainers to get back to getting to my strengths. And that's nothing against Buddy McGregor, but he just went away from everything that had made me the champion that I was, and it made me a top caliber fighter, you know? And little by little, I lost pieces of myself that were very intricate part of my arsenal, you know?
Yeah.
So I had to get back to doing this. I was a much better fighter when I fought Diaz than I was when I fought Hatton. Had I fought Hatton under the same circumstances I fought Diaz, I would have beat Ricky Hatton. I think Diaz would beat Ricky Hatton because Hatton doesn't have the legs to get away. This guy will throw 100 punches around every round if you're in front of him. And Ricky Hatton would have no choice but to be in front of Diaz because he doesn't have the legs I have.
Is that why you switched your style a little bit? Your defensive style changed in this one. You were backing up a lot. Was that because of the opponent, or I mean, you used to use that hip movement more, where you lean back and use that that heavy bag to.
Yeah, no, I kind of went back to what I was doing. If I don't know how much people have been following my career overall, but before I hired Buddy McGregor, I was with Billy Giles. And, you know, I was a mover. Billy used to train Hector Camacho way back in the day. I was a mover. I fought a lot of and way similar to the way I fought on Saturday night. You know, we used to ring a lot, move around a lot, and work my combinations off the angles. My legs were fine. Once I got with Buddy slowed down my leg movement, and he basically wanted me to stay in a pocket during show and move everything off the hip and don't use so much movement with my legs, you know? And I think that hurt me and that cost me because I'm a guy who uses a lot of my natural instincts. So I don't do a lot of things by the book. So once I'm close all the time, I start paying for those mistakes. So I needed to get back to using my legs to really, you know, use the gifts that I'm born with, and that's a lot of speed and naturally good reflexes. And I think that showed on Saturday.
Your hands okay?
Yeah, everything went well, man. Everything went well. It's funny because even before the fight, I couldn't spar for this fight for the last 5 weeks of camp because I hurt my ribs in training. So I had to let them heal. So I didn't spar for most of camp. I sparred about 15 rounds for this camp, and then I hurt my ribs, and I couldn't spar no more. So it's a funny thing. And then 2 days before the fight, the cut that I suffered in the fight, I actually suffered on working the pads 2 days before the fight. So it was like Murphy's Law for this fight, man. Anything that could go wrong did, you know? And then to top it all off, I got robbed. So just imagine how much better I could be in a rematch.
Yes. How fitting that you came to the ring to Thunderstruck, to Gotti's music, and both of you guys get cut.
Yeah.
How fitting is that?
I think Arturo would have been proud, man.
He's up in heaven smiling at that one.
This kind of fight.
Absolutely.
It was a throwdown at times. It was both guys bleeding, and I think everything was a fitting tribute to Arturo, except that at the end, the final decision was a spit in his face.
Yes, that's unfortunate.
So
Paulie Malignaggi.
Tribute to Arturo.
Paulie, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your evening. I know you've got to go. You've got other media that you need to talk with. Thank you for taking the time, talking with Bolo Punch. We love you, and we'll talk to you real soon, man.
Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it. Always fun to be on, and I'll see you guys soon.
All right, Paulie. Talk to you
Paulie.
soon. Bye-bye.